all have stories. Every single one of us. From the highest of the high to the lowest of the low, we all have stories. Exploring the world for the greatest stories of all time.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Aron O'Dowd Show.
The Aron O'Dowd Show. Our soul is the screen upon which we project our dreams. What's your story?
Hello and welcome everybody. It's another incredible week of awesomeness. We got some alpha stories on the way from sports to Need for Speed. Are you ready to set go? Because this individual has gone from boxing to GAA, which is, if you're across the pond in America, it's Gaelic Athletic Association. Football, which we call in Europe football, but the Americans call it soccer. And I think he's doing CrossFit. We'll have to find out soon. Hello, welcome to the show, Shane. How are you doing? Mulgrew.
Yes, Aron. I'm great. Thanks for having me. Yeah, excited to have a good chat. Yeah.
What fuels you to do the sport you do, man?
Great question. What fuels me? I actually don't really know what fuels me, other than I'm just very much aware that I crave sort of like competition. I crave like put my body through that sort of element of struggle and pain. So I think that's why I do it. I really do enjoy that. I love like at the end where you're sort of really exhausted, your body has been through something really difficult, and I just love that aftermath feeling. It's sort of like a drug almost. You sort of crave that every single day, you know.
I know, it's that adrenaline drug. You just, people think, why are you a junkie, Aaron, of adrenaline? Because you just get that good feeling of like, oh man.
Yeah, exactly that, and I think it's sort of with all the different sports. I'm sure we'll have a chat about that. Once you're consistent, it sort of becomes like a habit. It comes out like a part of your life almost, and it's sort of like when there's obviously days where I'm not on point. I'm inconsistent, and you definitely do feel like you've missed something that day or those couple of days, for example. So I think that's something that's really important to me is staying consistent, just to put my body through that. It really gets a great feeling from it, you know.
When did you join sports, Shane?
A very young age. It's sort of in my family. Obviously, you mentioned GAA, which is Gaelic football. It's an Irish sport. That's something that's heavily I was brought up in. All of my family members, uncles, cousins, everybody, 3 years all participated in pretty decent level Gaelic football. It's obviously got a wee bit broader over the years. We expanded. I think there's a few clubs running around America there as well, Australia and these places. But yeah, from I was able to walk, I was kicking a ball. I'm obviously a very advocate Manchester United fan. I know you mentioned soccer. So playing soccer and Gaelic from a very young age, I played both sports. There was even weekends where I would in the morning I would play soccer, and in the afternoon I'd play a game of Gaelic as a young person. So I was just obsessed.
And where did you grow up in Ireland?
In the north of Ireland, so County Tyrone. It's a wee village called Castle Caulfield, which is about 2 mile from the main town, which is Dungannon, and another village called Donaghmore. So that's where I sort of originate from.
So you're the Tyrone footballer who everyone craves in the town, right?
I would like to have thought so at one point. I would say now I'm sort of touching on 37 here, so I would say at one point I was definitely a guy that sort of like I sort of like take the sport pretty naturally. So I was sort of that guy that any sort of activity that I took my hand to, I was sort of naturally good at it, or kind of good at it. But yeah, I was always that sort of sports guy in my school, always doing pretty well. But I'd say nowadays I'm a wee bit older. I have to choose my sports wisely, you know.
What when we're kids, we watch the stars. We want to be like them. Was there a particular superstar you wanted to be when growing up?
Another good question. I think it was probably around Gaelic and soccer again. So obviously in Tyrone, Peter Kennevan. He was and from my eyes, he is the greatest that's ever played the sport. So he was just someone that once I started playing Gaelic football, I just aspired to be him. He was the greatest player. In soccer, I would say obviously another Irish countryman is Roy Keane. I'm still to this day a big fan of Roy Keane. So I always felt like I was that guy that lost my temper playing sport quite quickly. So I sort of almost resonated with him and his story. So I really like Roy Keane and Peter Kennevan.
You fire on the pitch, and I wouldn't think that,
Yeah, I'm a wee bit more calm and composed nowadays, but yeah, I think I was a bit of a loose cannon from time to time when I was playing sport.
And where did you play on the field?
In soccer, I was a defender. I was 11 years of age, and the manager asked me what foot I played with. I was left-footed, so he put me into left back, and that's where I stayed my entire career as left back. And in Gaelic football, I'm a forward, so I always played like number 11 or number 14, which is sort of the guy that pulls the strings and tries to score as much as he possibly can. So soccer and Gaelic a wee bit different in terms of my positions, but yeah, I suppose it just once I was there, I stayed there.
I moved from rowing into triathlon, and the one thing I found wasn't the conditioning, but the skills. But in those both sports, were the skill set the same in some way?
I would say elements the same. Yeah, it's a team sport, so you have a position to play. There's certain obviously skill levels, and each player and each athlete has different levels and skill levels. So I would say there's definitely elements that complemented each other, but there's also elements that, let's say, playing Gaelic football probably helped me in my soccer career, and then obviously playing soccer as well helped me in my Gaelic career. So there was definitely complementary skills and things like that really helped.
And in the soccer, did you play for a big team in anything?
I had trials, so I had done really well, and soccer was obviously, because it's a global sport, it was my dream. It was the desire, it's why I did everything. It was for soccer, because Gaelic in Ireland is seen as an amateur sport. Mm-hmm. Although nowadays they sort of play, it's an amateur sport played by professionals. But soccer, I had trials with every single professional club, you name it, in the Premier League, from Manchester City to Sunderland to Aston Villa to who else? Preston North End, so Leicester City as well. So loads of different trials and opportunities to potentially sign pro contracts with clubs. I played for my country, obviously Northern Ireland, and we, from the age of 16 right up to 19, played with Northern Ireland as a left back. So I done really well. It's just sort of when I hit that sort of age of 19, I realized that I probably wasn't going to be good enough to move forward into a professional career. So I had a few decisions to make, and that's when sort of life sort of hit me quite hard, to be honest, when I realized the dream wasn't going to happen.
How did it feel to realize that the dream isn't what you want the dream to be?
It was tough because when I was running through like school, I wasn't very like an educated individual. I wasn't an advocate learner, put it like that. Every day school for me was about PE or playing sports. So when it come to like developing from an educational perspective, I would say I could have done a lot more. And it sort of left me at a place where I almost expected to be a professional soccer player. That was my expectation. There was no other option. And when it came to the time when I needed to find another option, it was incredibly difficult. I sort of had these dreams to be playing sport, and all of a sudden now I'm sort of working on a construction site and trying to figure out, okay, where do I go from here? I would say that's probably, without a doubt, the most challenging parts of my life to date. I would say it's just that realization.
Yeah, it feels like a divorce in our soul and our being that we want to do this, but expectation puts us in a different space.
Yeah. It's obviously I'm still a young person at that
Mhm.
stage, so I didn't really know. I mean, how do you mentally and emotionally come to terms with that? I just didn't know how to. So obviously, looking back now, I could speak to that young person and give some advice. But back then, you just try and figure it out. You just go through the motions. You go to the next thing, whatever that is. You know.
What would that be? What would that advice be?
I would say, look, probably the advice would be, look, that's probably just not meant for you. But there's a lot more out there that's meant for you. I would have stayed at my sport. So I actually stopped playing soccer at that age rather than continuing to play and continuing to play as a semi-professional with like the Irish League here in Northern Ireland's. It's a pretty high level at this stage. So I feel
Yeah.
like if I had a stayed committed to soccer and I could have maybe reached that much higher level, but I just give up. So I would say just keep doing what you're doing. Never give up on your dreams or your desire. Sort of your typical type advice. Um, but yeah, I was a sort of a lonely young person back then.
Tell us why you gave up on your passion.
Because I thought that I needed to be a professional footballer, and anything other than that just wasn't good enough. It wasn't going to satisfy my need. I was maybe looking at like other players playing in Irish League, like a lower level, and I just didn't want that. It wasn't for me, or I didn't think it was for me. So I automatically just moved to Gaelic football and participated in it to try and play county level, which is the highest level here in Ireland. And then again, I sort of fell into different jobs, different careers. I very quickly realized that I didn't want to do any of those. But I would say, as much as it was a struggle, those sort of 4 years of my life was a great learning curve. I basically did every job under the sun. You name it, I did it, and it helped me to develop as a young person. I'm actually naturally quite introverted. So it sort of took me out of my shell a wee bit, I would say, when it came to belief in building a career for myself.
Was that the hardest challenge you ever faced in your life?
I've definitely went through quite a number of challenges. I mean, that's quite a long time ago, but I would say internally, definitely the hardest challenge. I'd say as an adult, you're gonna go through so many challenges, like in your career, in relationships, financially. Okay, there's so many different obstacles that wait ahead for us all. But I would say yes, internally as a young man, probably lacking in confidence, not knowing that I actually wanted to actually carry on with life. That was definitely the most difficult for sure.
And in our most difficult parts of life, we get to see a whole different character. Did you see that through Rising, as like the Phoenix rising again in some way?
I would love to have called myself a phoenix for sure. I would say a few other people could come up with a few other names for me. I would say I made a lot of mistakes. I think that's part and parcel of life is being open to make mistakes and admitting when you do make mistakes, but learning from them. So yeah, it was sort of like a struggle to where I am today. I think that's what it's been like. It's almost like every single failure is like pushed me in the right direction, if that makes sense.
How do you overcome failure?
um I think it's the way I look at it. I actually don't see it as failure, to be honest. I'm sort of at that stage in life where I don't think you can fail because it's just meant to be. I sort of see, let's say if I in competitions, if you don't win, for example, or you
Mhm.
maybe don't perform as well as you know you could have, I sort of handle that incredibly well. I sort of just, accept it. I tell myself that, it was meant to be, and I'll improve and get better the next time. So I think at the moment, definitely in today's, and sort of what's going on in my own life, I think I handle failure and even finishing second. If I handle it really well, it's not that I want to. I'm very incredibly competitive, almost too competitive sometimes. But I think that's something I've learned through the years as maybe being a young, immature adult. Like these failures are actually important. They're almost the making of you as an athlete or as a person. They build a strong character, and I think that's been a really important learning curve for me.
When you say competitive, how competitive are you, man?
I mean, every day. I mean, I do classes every day there. And look, CrossFit and the gym I go to in Ballymena, Brushian, it's a gym called Gladiator, and it's an amazing community. But we have just classes that we run on a day to day basis. So I'm not competitive. That I try my best to win every single class. If you can do that. So it's the wee things that push me forward, and I think if you're coming in with that attitude, that mentality, I mean, I can only improve at what I'm trying to do. So it's not that you get any reward for finishing first or finishing fastest or anything like that. You don't, but it puts my body through something incredibly difficult, and I know come the end of that exercise, that activity, I know I'll be better for it. Okay, so that's where the competitive nature comes in.
I know competition is, I think, part of our character as athletes that we want to achieve. We want to become something, and then when we look at kids, we grow up and we see the right gains. We thought, oh, I want to be like them, and that's kind of the nature of the industry in some way.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's for me. Like, by all means, I'm not the world's greatest athlete or anything like that. But when I studied athletes and I studied success, there's definitely a defining factor as to why those guys were super successful and the other guys weren't. And I think it is that obsession and that real competitive nature. Like the guy behind me here, Michael Jordan.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sort of obsessed with him and his attitude and his mentality to sport and to what he's achieved. I think it's just so it's so, what's the right word I'm looking for? Amazing to see how one individual can transform a sport, but when you really dig deep into the individual, he's just a competitive at everything. And he just wants to win at everything. And that's sort of why he was able to, have such an amazing career, and in my eyes, the greatest sports person of all time. Um, but he's just another man like you and me, but
Mhm.
he just had that edge somehow, and it's created an amazing career and legacy for him.
You're a little bit older than me in sport, and you've done way more sports than I. But do you think it's a mindset that makes that human edge that we inspire to be and look up to?
Yeah, 100%. I think everything that we do is developing the mind. There's some things that we do that maybe isn't great for the mind, like we might overstress about competitions, or we might get a bit anxious about things from time to time. But mentally, yeah, it's. I heard this quote by a guy called Jim Rohn, and he talks about it's never the end goal as to why you do what you do. Okay, whether it be you want to be a millionaire or you want to be the best in the world at your sport, it's actually the person that you become along the way. I think that's what I realized is through all these ups and downs, all these challenges, I've been sort of unknowingly developing myself as an individual, as an athlete, as a person, as a brother, as a son, through the years. And I think where that competitive nature and that mindset comes in. It's just really carried me all these years through those great times and those tough times, you know.
For sure. What is your end goal?
My end goal is to find peace, and in its simple terms. I think that's when I've done a lot of research on this, is like we can have a million goals, and I do have a million goals, whether it be in sport or whether it be in career or family. But it's really just to find peace and contentment in life, and I think that's where I look at a lot of people. So I think I'm very aware of myself and aware of others. So I feel like we're all chasing something, and I think once you stop chasing, that's contentment, that's sort of peace. And don't get me wrong, I'm not there yet. I try my best. I have a good awareness, but I think that's really what we all crave, is to get to that place where we're just peace of mind and content with what we have and who we are.
I'd love to know what you crave, you know.
I think, look, again, as everybody knows, we're all human beings. We crave the fast cars, you know. We crave the holidays and all that stuff, which is fine. But I think that's, in terms of crave, it's sort of like, if I look at goals and setting expectations, I don't think I need anything. Okay. But I just sort of crave progress. I want to, as a man, I feel like I want to always be able to provide. Okay. So whether I'm, you know, in the competition floor performing, I want to be able to help my team, to provide a successful result. As a man, I want to be able to provide for my family, my mother, my father. That makes me feel really good about myself. So it is quite a, I think life and sometimes can be quite selfish, because everything that we do is kind of almost, whether we're doing it for others, it's actually benefiting us because it's making us feel good. So I think that's where I have these like contradictions in life, where I might have a belief in something, or I might say something one day, and a week later I might have a, you know, completely different belief, because I've become aware of something, I've learned something, I have an understanding a wee bit more detailed. So I think in life we can become walking contradictions, okay, to what we actually want, you know.
I totally get it, and I know it, you know, but I sometimes wonder, in sport, are we already achieving a piece in that flow of racing and training, because we're pushing our body to the limit, but yet in that limit we have this bliss piece running through it. And you and I know it, because, and other athletes in sport know it, because you're doing it day in and day out, like breathing.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's where, obviously, as a young person, you sort of want to be the best of the best. But nowadays, it's sort of like I just want to continue to perform. I want to still always be able to put my body through challenges, competitions, and still, you know, try and compete at a decent level, and stay consistent at that. So that's sort of where my want is now. And as an athlete, I don't think I'll ever lose that mentality. And I think that mentality as an athlete, that discipline, that sacrifice, and that consistency is hugely beneficial for me in my career, for example, or even relationships from time to time. So everything that sort of good that has come out of my life has probably stemmed from the habits and the behaviors that I've developed as an athlete.
You know, Shane, the interesting thing, and it, you know, when you're in the world of sport, discipline, consistency, resilience, these are all things we know so well. But when you step out into the business world or other worlds, people are like, what? And you kind of have to teach them. But it's interesting how those components, what we breathe, eat, and sleep, is components that rely so much in the career world at the same time, and in life.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It's huge, and this is why, if you can give anyone advice, it would be to keep your body moving in some way, shape, or form. It is the key. If you can stay consistent where you're even look, it doesn't have to be extreme sports, of course not. Like doesn't you don't have to be like you or me. Um, but the discipline, the sacrifice, the consistency, that's going to be hugely beneficial for you in board meetings and corporate worlds, in your job, all those things. So I think that's where health and fitness and moving your body and being active is just so it's life changing because again, as you mentioned, it's actually um, developing you as an individual and it's help building a strong character. And you're going to take that individual, that character to your job or to your family or to your siblings and these things.
I guess retiring from sport is not on your agenda until you're 105, right?
No, not a chance. No, I don't see the word retire in my vocabulary at all. Although I do, as we get older, sometimes I might have an off comment that after a big workout or a big challenge, I'll say, right, that's me, retired. But I'll never be retired, never. I just want to keep competing, keep doing things and challenges um, that I suppose most people won't do. There's still probably loads of sports that I haven't tried that I want to try and compete in. So I'm just excited for the journey along the way.
If you could pick a sport you'd love to try out, what would it be?
I actually would love to. It's not a triathlon. Um, it's basically all the sports amalgamated into one. I forget what it's called.
Oh, wow.
I forget what it's called. It's kind of like a triathlon to an extent. I would like to do that one day. Put my body through that extreme. I think it's like running, cycling, swimming. Um, there's a variety of other things involved in it. Um, but I would like to put my body through that. And at some stage, I googled the hardest, toughest race in the world one time, and I think it's a race that starts off in Monaco. I think it's not Monaco. Where is it at? So some of them countries, right? I don't- but it's basically you have to run through the desert, basically.
Oh,
So it's like almost like a marathon through a desert, and you go through these different challenges. It's like the toughest race in the world globally at this stage. So I googled that one time. So that's how severe sometimes I get, where I just want to try a new challenge or try something new or put my body through something extreme. And then I might lose that bit of a want and just go back to my normal competition.
and what's your dream and plan for the coming year? You got races that you're looking to do and train for?
At the minute, I've got one competition coming up in July. It's like a 4-person event, so I have a team of 3 other athletes with me. But every year we've in CrossFit we've got what we call as an open, so I'll always compete at that. Obviously involved in Hyrox as well. Made the World Championships there last February in France. So I'll just stay consistent with those sports, and if something new pops up, I'll give it a go. But nothing really urgent planned in terms of big events or anything. But my body's feeling pretty good. I'm looking after myself here as best I can, eating healthy, sleeping really well. So I'm feeling pretty good. So I'm up for whatever challenge comes my way.
Fabulous. Shane, based on your knowledge, experience, wisdom, if there was one piece of advice to either the persons who are retiring, enjoying sport for the first time, or just looking to have some fun, what would it be?
Just get your body to a place where you're moving. Simple as that. I think sometimes we can get into a mindset where we're just complicating things for each other, and you might look at me or the next guy or yourself, and you might feel like you have to do these extreme sports or these really difficult physical activities. It's absolutely not the case. I mean, there's loads of people out there today that maybe aren't moving their body, aren't going out for consistent walks and things, I just, try and inspire people to move their body as much as they possibly can. Okay. That's the key because you're getting that blood flow around the body, you're getting that oxygen into the body. It's so beneficial from a health perspective, which means it's beneficial for the longevity of your life. Um, I just think we've got this one body to live in for the rest of our life, so we might as well look after it.
Fantastic, man. Where can we find you?
You'll get me just on normal social media. So you've got Instagram, which is at Mulgrew1, Facebook, same again, LinkedIn, those sort of social media platforms. Again, anybody reach out, touch base with me, happy to help and support through anything at all.
Cool. What's the biggest trophy you ever won?
Biggest trophy?
Yeah.
Probably playing Gaelic football was the All Ireland. So it's the vocational Ireland at my age group. So it's the only top award that you can win as a team. Individually, it was probably making the I made the semi-finals of the the CrossFit World Championships there recently, and that was a decent performance. And then obviously I made the World Championships with Hyrox as well. So probably a mixture of those, I would say, have been the biggest.
And if you could talk to your inner child and say, "Hey, buddy, what was the favorite race you raced in?"
Favorite race,
or game, or whatever comes to your mind.
to be honest, I would say there was one game that comes to mind, where I ended up being a bit of a clutch player, where we were at level, playing a game of football. We were at level, and the other team had just missed. Okay, they just put a point wide in Gaelic football. I still have the video, but it's the last kick of the game. I catch the ball, take on my opponent, and obviously get the point, get the score. So it's the last kick. I'll never forget that moment because it's not just me that's happy; it's the team, the management. But I looked at, I turned around and looked at the crowd, and it was the joy that it brought, all the spectators, the team, that they were supporting our team. So I think I'll never forget that feeling of being the guy that scored the winner.
Fabulous. Shane, it's been a blast, man. We could spend hours just talking about performance and high performance in sport and all the races, and it's been a blast, man. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much, Aron. I really appreciate it. Love what you do. Keep doing what you do, Aron, and let's definitely keep in touch for sure.
Fantastic. There you go. Get up, move, shake all those sticking stones. Don't break your bones, because that will get you to getting to move, getting to perform, and it just shows you keep moving, keeping consistent, because you gotta love what you do. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and look forward to catching you next week at Tuesday at 4 p.m. UK, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, rock on, because you're the rock star of your life.
Thank you for listening to the Aron O'Dowd Show, where the world's best stories are told. If you like, please post a review or subscribe to the show. To find out more, contact us at aronodowd.com. That's ARONODOWD.com. We're always ready to share another magnificent tale from the world's best storytellers. So stay tuned.